Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, that old history dude. Look, up in the sky. What is it? It came from outer space. On April 14th, 1561, Star Wars came to Nuremberg, Germany, or so it seemed. The sun was a vivid shade of red, and the sky was filled with odd objects. Known as the 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, it was witnessed by hundreds, written about by a few, and even illustrated, but exactly what was it? The sky was filled with circles, cylinders, and spheres that bounced around the sky. A vast black triangular object reminiscent of an Imperial star cruiser seemed to be launching smaller craft. Struggling to explain the indescribable, the report of Hans Glasser included, quote, two blood-red semicircular arcs, just like the moon in the last quarter. And in the sun, a ball of partly dull, partly black ferrous, and other balls in large numbers, about 3 in a line and 4 square, also some alone. These all started to fight amongst themselves for over an hour. Some fell from the sun down upon the earth, and then they wasted away in the earth with immense smoke, unquote. Similar heavenly fireworks also took place on Good Friday in 1554 and in 1566 on several different days over Basel, Switzerland. So what was it? No one to this day knows for sure. Speaking of not knowing for sure, it was 7:17 a.m. on June 30th, 1908 in the quiet remote region northwest of Lake Baikal. Suddenly the entire sky lit up as a brilliant bluish light streaked across the horizon. Then, some 10 minutes later, a massive explosion rocked the region, with sound waves seeming to move from the east to the north. An intense shock wave flattened people hundreds of miles away, and Russia's sky was oddly luminous during the next several nights. So, what was it? Well, that question still surrounds the so-called Tongusa Event. The blast and resultant shockwave leveled 80 million trees, all pointing away from the center of the 772 square mile area of devastation. But the truly strange thing is that at the very center of the destruction was nothing. The blast, 1,000 times greater than the force of Hiroshima, left no crater. Officially known as an impact event, theories abound and suggest such things as an asteroid, ignition of natural gas pocket, alien experimentation, and even a small black hole. Best guess is that a comet composed of ice entered Earth's atmosphere. Instead of an impact like a rock-based meteor, it simply violently went to pieces. Or not, since no one really knows for sure. But what if outer space is poisonous? Well, we've been there and done that. Halley's Comet is a real stunner, with its long phosphorescent tail sweeping across the sky once every 75 to 76 years. Yarn spinner extraordinaire Mark Twain was born in 1835 under the light of the comet and fully expected to die when it returned in 1910. Sales of telescopes skyrocketed as the comet drew near in the early 20th century night sky, and hotels offered special comet rates to skywatchers intent on peering at the heavenly phenomenon. Camille Flammarion, a French astronomer, concocted the crazy idea that the comet's 24 million mile tail was saturated in cyanogen gas that would, quote, impregnate the atmosphere and possibly snuff out all life on the planet, unquote. The New York Times did a piece on this fly-by-night Flammarion, and that's all it took. Gas masks flew off store shelves while scammers sold anti-comet pills. Some fearmongers even predicted that the heavenly chunks of ice would cause the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to swap locations. Thousands of terrified terrestrials flocked to churches to await the end, while countless others sealed the keyholes of their doors to keep the poison out. The comet came, the comet went, and Mark Twain died as he had hoped, and life went on. And I'll bet you'd never guess what we've discovered in outer space. One of the great challenges our planet faces is finding clean water. With chemicals leaching into the soil, 70% of industrial waste dumped into the world's water supply, coolant water from nuclear facilities contaminated by radioactivity, and much of the surface water unsafe to drink in most of the world, pure water is an increasingly rare commodity. We have to drink, and only 2.5% of Earth's water is fresh and potable. But then NASA scientists discovered a thrilling discovery in July of 2011. They found a vast reservoir of water in outer space. Best estimates are that it contains 100 trillion times the amount of all the world's present supply of fresh water. Tapping into it would instantly solve the planet's ever-growing water crisis. There are, however, just a few small challenges to getting at it. First, it's 12 billion light years away, not exactly around the corner. Secondly, it's orbiting a feeding black hole called a quasar. Known at NASA as APM 08279 plus 5255, this space monster is 20 billion times bigger than our Sun. Meanwhile, this quasar is pumping out as much energy as 1,000 trillion suns. Despite all the excitement at NASA, don't be expecting to take a sip of outer space water anytime soon. And that's about all the time we have for this episode of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, author, historian, and speaker, wishing that all of your history may be a bit weird.